What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Crystal Levette.
And your girl, the lovely Chantel.
And we are here for another episode of Conversations at the Compound. How you doing, Day Love Chantel?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here, but I gotta tell you, so before we get into everything, I wanted to tell you, because it falls kind of in line with what we're talking about. So last night, like around 11:30, I got a phone call. I got a phone call from somebody I care about and love, and so for me at 11:30, if you're calling, it must be important, right?
Right.
So, being the wonderful person that I am, I answered the phone.
Okay.
Only to find this individual was calling me and talking to me really and truly about the same thing that they've been talking to me about for probably the last 10 years. So they wanted to go in and talk to me about someone in their lives that's sending them through the ringer, giving them problems, frustrating them, upsetting them, and yet they still have this person in their life. And so for me, I had this conversation 5 years ago. I had this conversation 8 years ago.
Oh, gosh.
Now I'm having this conversation 10 years later, and they calling me 11:30 like it's important. Now for me, if you calling me 11:30 at night, almost midnight, it should be about something important.
It should be new.
It should be new, and it should be important. It should be relevant.
A
it should
new
be
emergency
something that I can actually help you with. But for me, if you're calling me about the same thing that you were dealing with 10 years ago, then this is not an emergency. You are literally just taking up my time, messing with my sleep schedule to vent and dump on me. So I know today we're going to talk about some things, and I just felt like I should share this because when I knew what we were going to talk about today, I was like, man, I'm literally living out this subject matter that we're talking about.
Right.
Which is what?
But we were talking and discussing what we're going to talk about on this podcast, and I came up with the phrase. Now, I didn't come up with the phrase, but I remember at like a songwriting camp or something that I was at a few years back, it was a showcase, and one of the songs, one of the only songs that I remember was called I Don't Want to Be a Witness. That's the only song that I remember. I remember the hook, and the hook was, I don't want to be a witness. And I remember that because it stuck with me. I was like, that's a really good hook. Like, I don't want to be a witness.
Are you sure that's how they sang it?
It was close to that. It was close enough. I was just trying to give the people a little taste of what the song was about. But that hook stuck with me because I feel like in relationships that is so relevant.
So let me ask you a question. As we get into this topic, I don't want to be a witness. What does that mean to someone who's listening for the first time, hearing that phrase for the first time? Like, bring that kind of into more clarity. What do you mean when you say, I don't want to be a witness?
Basically, I mean, when you witness a murder, when you witness a criminal act, when you witness someone doing something that's like illegal, it's like witness protection. So when you witness something like that, they put you into witness protection so that you don't get in trouble, so that the people, you know, that you're speaking out against, so that you witness do the crime, can't come and try to, you know, they'll try to kill you, or they'll try to keep you from speaking on what you saw. So basically, if you had to choose whether or not to witness a crime, you don't want to be a witness.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'd rather not be a witness, and I'd rather not get put into witness protection, and I'd rather just live my life and be like, my name Lee, I can't see.
So when we talk about I don't want to be a witness, we're talking about relationships.
Right.
And in life, there are multiple types of relationships.
Right.
Family relationships, love relationships,
right,
friendship relationships, work relationships, so many different types. And, you know, you love people.
Right.
And people have their own lives that they're living.
Right.
And the lives that people that we know and love that they're living, we all won't all agree. right? And we all may not understand the lives that other people live.
Right.
And so I guess what you're saying is, for people that you know and love,
right,
if there are things in their lives that are destructive, dysfunctional,
right,
you don't maybe agree with, whatever, things going on in their lives that are not necessarily working with you or working for you in your life, you're saying you don't want to be a witness to that life, to those choices, to that dysfunction.
Partially. The other part of it is that, you know, people have demons, people have vices,
right.
people have things that they're trying to work through, work out, that they're, you know, fighting to overcome. And it's like, the other part of it is, do you want to witness someone that you love and that you care about going through this stuff?
Right. Because for me, when I got the call in the morning, I think this falls completely in line with what you're talking about. I don't want to be a witness. I realized in that moment when I was wanting to go to sleep and I was on this call, I realized, like, dude, I don't want to hear about this. I don't want a front row seat to something that you're choosing not to change. Remember, we're 10 years in. I've had the same phone call 2 years prior. I had the same phone call 5 years ago. I had the same phone call, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, right after you met so-and-so, or right after you started A and B, you were having this conversation with me about how this person was making you feel this way, how this person was doing this to you, how this person was, whatever the case might be, where the person on the other line clearly is unhappy, clearly is not satisfied, clearly is frustrated, but yet here we are 10 years later and you're having the same conversation with me. So for me, in that moment, and I knew we were having this podcast today, I was just thinking, dude, that statement, I don't want to be a witness, is real.
Right.
Because I think that when you love people and when you care about people, you want to know that they're okay.
That's right.
Right? Or when you have a friendship with somebody, you want to be there for them.
Right.
Or a family member, you want them to know, hey, you have my support. But I think that sometimes people get love, support, loyalty misconstrued, and they think that you are supposed to get a VIP pass into the depth of their choices and their dysfunction. So you think you can call me at 11:30 with the same crap you were talking to me about 5 years ago, because you know that I love you, but somewhere in your mind you think I want to hear about this. But for me, I just realized I don't want to be a witness. I don't want this phone call. I love you to life, but I don't want to be your 11:30 at the night call because you're going through something that you're choosing to stay in.
Right. I mean, I think that situation is I think that's one part of the scenario, like that type of situation where you're dealing with something that's ongoing. Like, come on, 10 years, that's half your fault for them not recognizing that they shouldn't be calling you at 11:30 at night about the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's partially your fault, because if you know somebody, 10 years is a long time. Like that.
Well, how's my fault? I know if that's what they're gonna call me and say when I pick up the phone.
But I'm just saying. I'm saying, obviously, if that person or that friend felt like it was okay to call you at that time with that conversation piece, that means that you had not made it clear that, listen, I'm tired of hearing these same conversations. I don't want to be your trash can. I'm tired of hearing you talk about the same things when you're making choices to be in the situation that you're in. So I feel like it's the responsibility of the person who cares to set the certain boundaries. And I think that's something good to talk about, is like, what's the responsibility of a person who cares? Because your scenario is one thing, but then what about the person that has a sibling or has a family member that has some type of addiction? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I love people.
If you ask the mom, most moms, I think, would feel like they're supposed to be there no matter what. And I think that's why you have a lot of people with addictions who are being enabled, because when it comes to family, when it comes to love, people don't know how to draw that line. Like, if I'm a mom and my child has an addiction, how do I not be there for them? How do I not pick them up when they fall? How do you draw that line? Well, is that real? Is what you're saying, do you think that's realistic when you're talking about love and relationships? Because when you love somebody, you're supposed to be there for them.
Right, but this is me. This is my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Everybody don't have to agree with me, and I don't care if you do or not. But my thing is, this is how I feel about life. I feel like Jesus died on the cross so that I wouldn't have to.
Wow.
That's what I feel. I feel like that the sacrifices, the major sacrifices that were made, that God did that. And I'm not anybody's God. I'm not anybody's savior. And it's not, within my power to change circumstance. That's all within the power of God, the creator of God. So I feel like you have to use wisdom in each scenario, because I feel like your scenario is totally different than the scenario of a person that's struggling, that's fighting some type of addiction or demons. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that it's different, because what you're talking about is like somebody being in a relationship, or somebody that just keeps bothering you with the same drama, versus somebody that you love and that they're like,
Okay, so I hear you, but what I'm hearing at the same time is you sounds like you're giving a person with an addiction a little bit of a pass versus someone in a bad relationship. And I personally think at the end of the day, and like you said, I don't care either what anybody thinks about what I have to say. This is my opinion. We all are entitled to our opinions. Opinion is not judgment. Yeah. But in my opinion, I believe that life boils down to a series of choices. And at the end of the day, just because it got you wrapped up, tied up, tangled up, doesn't mean you didn't choose to take those drugs. You chose to drink alcohol.
No, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I think we're talking about choices. And what I'm saying is at the end of the day, it's a difference between somebody dealing with something out of their control that they cannot control. That's different. Then dealing with something where a person is making a conscious decision to maintain or reside or live in a certain space. Like, it's a choice to pick up an alcohol bottle and drink it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock in the morning. That's a choice. It's a choice to be in a relationship with somebody that's putting hands on you. Right. I'm not saying it's the easy scenario, meaning if somebody's being physically abused, let's say, and they want to leave and need to leave. I'm not saying it's easy. Like, I can't even begin to comprehend what it takes to leave somebody who's physically abusing you, because most of the time there's emotional abuse as well, mental abuse, right? So I'm not judging that at all, but I am saying it's still a choice to stay. I'm saying that it's still a choice to be in a relationship with a man, I guess, who, let's say, just ain't pulling his weight financially,
right,
and got you going through the struggle, right? Or to be in a relationship with a woman who's talking crazy to you and don't treat you like a man, is demeaning you and taking away your masculinity every other day. Like, that is a choice. So I guess what you're saying, and what I'm saying is that I'm not going to sit there and walk you through, or I'm not going to sit there and grab my popcorn and be on the front row and just watch you continue to live in a situation that you have the power to change.
Well, at the end of the day, everybody has the power to change every situation. Like, we think about it that way. Everybody has the wherewithal, at the end of the day, to change their situation. But I get what you're saying. But I'm saying, as a person that loves the individual,
right,
that is going through or making whatever choices they're making, what's your responsibility as a person that loves them? Like, if you see somebody,
you said something earlier I thought was good. I think that, and sorry to interrupt you too, but I just want to say, you made a statement earlier that I thought was powerful, because I think that's one of the first things is you have to draw a line. Like, I can't control the choices somebody else makes, but if I'm in a friendship or a relationship of any kind with whoever, I have the power to draw lines in my life,
right,
for what is acceptable for me. You see, I can't draw the lines in their life.
Right. Yeah.
To what's acceptable to them. I might look into their life and be like, girl, like Chad, like, oh my God, he gonna take that, right? I can draw those mental lines with them myself, like be me, right? But I can't change that. I have nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with the scenario with my friend who's, dealing with something for 10 years. Or the person who has addiction. I can't draw that line for them, make them stop. But I can draw lines in my own life for what I will allow in my space. So I think that might be the number one thing and the number one responsibility when you love someone is that even in loving them, you have to draw some lines.
Boundaries, and the thing about it is like, love, people think that love means sometimes that you I don't know if you believe in the ride or die concept. I don't know if I that's something that we probably could talk. Right,
that might be another topic.
Yeah. The ride or die. You know what I'm saying? I'm your ride or die. Like I'll ride with you to the death. And I don't even know if I'm about that life.
I gotta die to ride. I won't.
Okay. Give me that bus pass, boo.
Uber.
Let me get that scooter.
Man.
But I'm saying like that's the whole mentality of the culture, the mentality for a lot of people.
That's fake though.
But I'm just saying people say that like if you my friend, if you somebody that loves me, then you need to be there for me when I need you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I like that's the whole thing of being able to balance your life and where you are being a good friend, where you are caring and showing care towards somebody that you love, but not at the expense of your own peace. Right. That's what I feel.
Right.
Because this is the thing, like I don't know. Somebody said the greatest form of love is self-love. I don't know if I believe that, but I believe that self-love is is the first thing that we have to have in order to be able to be good for anybody else. You know. And so when I see, this is the thing. Somebody calling you at 11:30 at night on a consistent basis for their own emergencies that they have allowed to into their own lives based upon their own decisions. At that point right there, like that's not me being disloyal, and that's not me not caring. That's me just saying you are at this point taking peace from me. Yeah. Like when I hear when I hear these conversations and when I hear these replays, you giving me playbacks on your drama, that starts weighing on my peace.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like in what you're saying, right, loving yourself first, and then I know that you mentioned drawing lines, setting boundaries. Do you think that love and relationships and being there for somebody requires conversation? Like, I've heard the statement, and sometimes I feel like it's true, like conversations are overrated. I feel like sometimes conversations, it's just your energy, it's your time. Right. It's, it's just overrated. Conversation about what? But a part of me feels like when you care about somebody and when you love them and you see them going down, let's say, a destructive path, you see things that is hurtful to them that could ultimately maybe hurt other people or just hurt them. But when you love somebody, you don't want to see them hurting, right? So when you love somebody, you care about someone, them going through something, it affects you on some level because you love them. So can you love somebody, care for somebody, and just see something and just be silent?
I personally think that this is you can't just say, conversations are overrated. I mean, you can say that, but I feel like it just depends on the value that you place on the relationship, whether or not you need to put your energy into it. I believe that if you care about somebody, I always think of it like this. If me and my friend were walking, or I was walking, my friend, and I saw my friend from the distance and say, hey, and I see her walking, but as she's about to cross the street, I see a big Mack truck coming towards her, and she's not paying attention. For a stranger, I would say, get out the way, a truck is coming. Or, you know what I'm saying? For a stranger, I would do that. So for somebody that I have care for, I believe that we have a responsibility to say something. Mm-hmm. Now, I think that you say something, and I think you've done your duty as a friend, but then I think that is at your discretion and your discernment if you continue to have the same conversation over and over and over again about the same things or the same stuff with the same person. Mm-hmm. I think that that's on every person's individual. It's about your tolerance level. It's about your grace level within the relationship. Because you might you might have grace to deal with somebody for 10 years doing the same thing, having the same conversation. You know what I mean? You be in a trash can for that same person for 10 years. Me personally, I don't have that grace. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? So I think it's about what your grace is and what you feel like what you should give. But I believe everything in balance. This is my thing. I feel like everybody has a life that they're living. Anybody that's listening to this podcast, and everybody that may not be listening to this podcast, everybody's got enough of their own life to work through, that they're building, that they're, working towards, and the things that they're dealing with, and the things that they're creating their own happiness. So who has time, who has energy to babysit somebody else's life? Do you know what I'm saying? And this is my thing. I think I think that care in a relationship is allowing the other person to take responsibility for their life and for their choices. Listen, you a whole dude. You a whole chick, a full grown chick person. So you're not a kid. You help to lead and to guide and to, you help children do stuff like that. But at a certain point, especially after I've given you my wisdom, especially after I've told you, what I believe that can help you, you're a full grown person. What do I look like trying to manage you?
Right.
And we got it. And that's what I think. Everybody needs to be managing their own lives.
Right. I mean, okay, when you say trying to manage you, what do you mean?
I'm saying management is when you over somebody's shoulder. What do they call it? Micromanaging. You over somebody's shoulder, making sure they doing their work, making sure they putting their work in. It might be customer service for a job, but I'm saying making sure people putting in work for their own life. Mm-hmm. That's not my job. Right. That's too much energy. How this is the thing.
So you basically you're talking really about care, not caring.
No, not caring, but I'm saying that is care. I'm saying that is care for me to tell you, listen, you going down a destructive path. Listen, I see ... and ... Listen, whatever it is, to have that initial conversation. Mm-hmm. But when it gets to 10 years, that's crazy.
So let me ask you a question. How do you not be a witness? It's not just a phone call. It's not listening to a phone call. How do you not be a witness?
I feel like this. Not being a witness is focusing on your life, focusing on what's happening within you, and being somebody said something, I always thought it was very powerful, being able to observe but not absorb. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the issue is that you observe. It's so easy to observe somebody going down the wrong path where you know how it's going to end up, and if you care about them, to be able not to absorb that. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you got to cast your care on the Lord. You have to put these individuals that we love, you have to put them in the care of God and let Him care for them. And I think that as a person that is a vessel of love towards humanity and towards people, we all need to be that way, that we need to be able to hear what part we need to play in loving and caring for somebody. But I do know that, it's not at the detriment of your own personal peace.
Right. So, okay, so let me say this then. To our listeners who are tuning in, who will tune in later, I just believe that your life is the primary thing. Your happiness is the number one thing. Your peace is the number one thing. And we all have people that we love and that we care for. But I just encourage you, if you see someone that's dealing with, dysfunction, dealing with drama, don't let their issues become your issues.
Right.
And I think that's really what we're saying. Like, we all have people, and we know people going through stuff.
Yeah.
You even have stuff you're going through. I have stuff I'm going through, right? But it's not for anyone to carry but me. It's not for anyone to carry but the person that's dealing with it. It's their life. So you love people, and you love them, and you help them as much as you can. But my encouragement to you is, like, don't forsake your own peace trying to do other stuff for other people. Because you got to make sure you're okay. You got to make sure your life is good. And people will pull on you, and they will use you as much as they can. And when I say that, I'm not saying that they mean to. I'm not saying that they mean to. I'm not saying that they're trying to. They're not trying to drain you of your energy. They're not trying to drain you of your peace. It's just people need support. They want support. But there's a line. And you got to draw your line. And I want to just encourage anyone who's had to draw these lines, don't feel bad.
No.
Don't feel bad. Don't feel condemned. Don't let anybody mess with your mind and make you feel like you're not a good friend, or like you're not a good person, or you're not a good sibling because you're not willing to do certain things. You have to draw a line to protect your life.
Yeah.
You have to draw a line to protect your peace. And I'll go one further. If you got any sense of consciousness of purpose, you just can't do it. Because your purpose, your vision, your dream, it's got to be all consuming in order for you to get there.
Right.
And other people's stuff, that stuff just becomes a distraction.
It
becomes drainage. It becomes a distraction. It becomes a weight. It becomes a hindrance, whether you realize it or not. And I just believe people with a purpose, you don't got time for it.
Right.
You really don't have time to sit there and process other people's stuff. Listen, if I can do it for you, I will do it. But if I gotta be over here and I have other things going on, I have other stuff going on in my life, then that's where I'm going to be. And guess what? That don't mean you're not a good friend.
Right. That doesn't mean that you don't care either.
That does not mean that.
I mean, it's just at least it is about managing your life and putting the work in.
Because people try to obligate you.
Right.
I feel like we talked about this before a little bit on another episode, but people will try to obligate you.
Right.
And I remember someone saying, don't let someone else's lack of preparation become your emergency.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's like you getting ready to go into a meeting, in an hour, and such call you because they didn't put gas in their car and they ran out of gas. Well, what do? Are you not a good friend if you don't beeline it and go pick them up because you got a meeting in a half an hour or an hour? You're not a good friend? No. Well, you should have got gas last night before you left your house instead of being lazy, not getting gas. Time I'll make it to the gas station in the morning.
And I think too, like this is the thing though. This is the thing. Everybody is responsible to let the people in their lives know how they roll.
Okay.
That's what I feel like.
What you mean?
Like it's some friends that they'll drop everything and they'll go and they'll give you the gas and they'll miss the meeting, right?
Right.
You gotta let the people in your life know I'm not that friend.
Okay, but are you not a good friend?
No, I'm just telling you who I am and how I roll in my life. So I'm being a good friend by letting you know that I'm not the one to call if you run out of gas.
Okay, well, what kind of friend is that though?
That's the friend that you don't call when you run out of gas. Because guess what? In our lives, everybody, we got different types of friends. You got a friend that you go to when you want to laugh and bug out and have fun. You go to the friend that you when you go, it's just calm and peace. And and it's just gonna be easy breezy, low key. You got the friend that
call when you run out of gas.
Right, you run out of gas. And then you got the friend that you like. I know she ain't coming. You got that friend.
But is that a real friend though?
Yes. It's a real friend. It is just knowing and respecting who people are and how they choose to live their life.
That's true.
That doesn't make, I can't fault you for saying, listen, this is my priority. This is what I prioritize in my life. And not that I don't care about you, not that I don't love you, But for me, right now, this is my priority. You know what I mean? So like
that can be a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah,
for people who, because everybody defines friendship differently.
Right. Well,
everybody defines relationships differently. Just like some people define love differently. Like you say you love me, but you're doing X, Y, and Z, but you say that you love me.
Yeah.
So people have kind of a warped or just different definitions of certain things. And so I guess, like you said, it's the individual, each individual's part really, to help and bring clarity as to how they define certain things. Like, I'm your friend, I love you, I'm there for you, but you need to understand
what
X,
my
Y,
priorities are.
Yeah.
And it's not wrong. And then at that point, see, because if you have that conversation at that point, every person they have the opportunity to make a choice to say, well, that's not the type of friends I have.
Yeah.
I have friends that if I call them, they drop everything to make sure that I'm good.
Right.
You know, and you can't, and I respect that.
Right.
You respect that, but like, I feel like it's your responsibility to educate the people in your world about who you are. But this conversation though is that, listen, if you're not that type of person that's gonna drop everything, that doesn't mean that you're a bad person.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you're a bad friend.
And that you don't care.
And that does not mean that you don't care. That just means, listen, I am allowing you to take responsibility for your life.
That's good.
You know, this is like, I know this is not a popular thing to say. Like, I know that it's not popular. I know that everybody is with the, you know what I mean? If you ever need me, call me. I'm there for you, blah, 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 blah,
right.
Whatever. And that's good. And we need that. But at the same time, I don't think that you can get mad or that you can say that a person doesn't care for you as much if they're not willing to do that.
Yeah, because you make a good point. I mean, different people are in your life for different reasons.
Right.
And you just got to know what you get from different relationships,
right,
and from different friends. And that doesn't make one better than the other. They're just different. Just like I remember my mom would always say, every child is different.
Right.
You know, one child, you can spank him, he won't even cry.
Right.
Right? So spankings don't work on him. If you have to ground him, make him stand in the corner, I don't know. Then you have another child, you can barely tap him and he crying and he's so sorry. And you know what I mean? So every child's different. Every child requires something different. So really in life, every relationship is different. Yeah. And I think that people do themselves a disservice by trying to get the same thing from every single person.
Right.
Whereas you just need to know who you're dealing with. Because that doesn't take away the value of a relationship. Because even though, you know, I know if you're working, you're not going to stop what you're doing and come help me. I have to look at the relationship in its totality to see where the value is in this relationship. Right. The value may not be, I'm there whenever you need me, but the value might be that, you know, I can count on you to be a solid emotional rock in my life that's going to tell me the truth. Or I can count on you that whenever I get with you, I know I'm going to laugh hard and I get joy whenever I'm around you.
Or the value may be that if I needed you cash at me every time.
Right. You may not show up
but
with a pump for my tire.
But he'll give me an Uber or she'll give me an Uber. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, this is my thing. This is just to sum up what we're saying. I just believe, right, that we do not need to take on the dysfunction of the people that we care about in our life. Mm-hmm. Like, I cannot allow your dysfunctions to become my dysfunctions.
Or your emergencies to become my emergency.
Right. And
like, that seems hard, but it's not. I like what you said. I'm not being a bad friend. I'm just allowing you to take on and be responsible for your choices, to be responsible for your lack of preparedness, to be responsible for whatever the situation is. I'm allowing you to deal with you. If I can't come in and help deal with you, don't be mad at me.
Right.
Or if I don't want to sit there and have a front row seat to your cycles, I don't want to sit there and have a front row seat to dysfunction in your life and your pain, don't be mad at me because that's your life.
That's
your life. And I have the right to not want a front row seat. And some people, they want to give you VIP pass. They want you to be all up in their stuff.
No.
And that doesn't make me a great friend.
No.
Nor does it make me a bad friend or a bad person or a bad sibling or a bad child. Like, I mean, I'm not thinking about relationships. There's so many different types of relationships. Like, we love our parents, we love our brothers, we love our sisters. We have friends who are like sisters or brothers to us. You know, you have co-workers that provide certain things. Like, there's so many different types of relationships, and relationships are special.
Right.
And they're beautiful.
And people are special.
And people are special and they're beautiful. And you have the responsibility to recognize what every relationship means to you.
Right.
And you have to process them with love and respect.
And care.
But you also have to process them in how is this relationship affecting my life?
Right.
Because the relationship is not just about the other person.
No.
It's also about how is this affecting my life? Because I'll be honest, I've had different times in my life where I have literally had to kind of step outside of my relationships and look at them from the outside looking in and ask myself a simple question. What is this person bringing to my life?
What you doing for me? Right.
I know what I'm giving to you.
What's your purpose here?
I know what I'm doing for you in this relationship, but
why
are you in my life? What do you bring to the table? Can I count on you for a laugh? Because that's valuable.
Right.
Joy is like medicine.
Yeah.
That's valuable. I know when I get around you, I'm a laugh. Oh wait, can I count on you for some drama? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Am I always cash apping you?
Right.
Have you ever cashed out me?
Right.
Can I count on you for a coffee? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you're always, okay, I can only look at myself and what I'm doing for the people in my world. But I think, and I encourage everyone listening, take a moment and assess your relationship, because sometimes we leave people in our life just because of time, just because of history. But history does not denote a future
or value.
Right. So just because you've been in my life since we was in the 3rd grade, that don't necessarily mean you bringing anything to the table.
That just means you just been there since I was in the 3rd grade.
Right. That doesn't necessarily mean you've added anything to my world. And I believe relationships should be give and take. I believe that the person should be bringing something to the table.
It should be give and give.
You should give and give.
We should be giving.
And like you said, I might not give the same thing you give, and that's okay.
But whatever you have, but what we all, I feel like every human being has something valuable,
something to give,
something of value to give, and I think that we can find out the valuable things in one another. We can grow from it, we can learn from it. But at the point where it's messing with my peace of mind,
right.
At the point where I feel like I'm babysitting,
right.
At the point where I feel like I'm a psychiatrist or a therapist, then we have to step back and say, okay, this is something that's not right with this.
And I think like I said before, you got to judge your relationships, right? And that's what they're bringing to your life. But I also think you gotta do that frequently, because sometimes relationships take a turn. So maybe So maybe in the beginning it was cool and it was good and we had a great time.
You was bringing me flowers. You was bringing me candy.
Okay, you was paying the bill.
You was telling me how beautiful I was.
Right. But then somewhere along the way, I stopped getting flowers. I stopped getting candy.
No compliments.
You just, every time you come around, it's A, B, and C. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because people do change. Yeah. And relationships do change. I think sometimes we got to reassess the relationships, because maybe you qualified in 2015 through 2019.
Right.
But at somewhere in 2020, you know, you failed to be somebody that qualified in my life. And so I think we got to judge our relationships, and if you feel like you've been getting a front row to drama, then I think the first step is drawing the lines. But I think at some point, if you draw the lines and it's still certain things are happening, then you got to reassess this relationship, or you have to redirect the relationship, because your life is important. Yes. Your purpose is important.
We need to place
your
value
peace
on
is
ourselves,
important.
man.
And whatever you're giving to relationships. You should be receiving things that are helping build you up. I think that relationships, people should be bringing out the best parts of you, not the worst.
And the thing, and I really feel like it's important to say this, is that you love and you value the people in your world, but you're just as valuable. They're not more valuable than you. Mm-hmm. Do you understand? Like, their success does not hold more value then your success.
Right.
They're, just like you want to see the person that you love have everything that their hearts desire, live a beautiful life, you deserve the same.
Right.
So I think it's important. I don't feel like sometimes we place enough value on ourselves because we so concerned with making sure everybody else around us feels valued. And my thing is like, yes, I can give you love, I can give you care, but God is love, God is care, and you have to find that. Like I don't feel like we need to be finding that completion in what another person is doing for us. That's too much of a burden. Like for me to burden you with my happiness,
right?
For me to burden you with my peace, for me to burden you with my fulfillment, you as a human being, you can't give me that. You're not meant to carry that, and I'm not, and I'm being unjust by putting that weight on you. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like you as a human being should add to my joy. You should add to my happiness. You should add to my fulfillment. But you're not the person that can give me that. And I feel like we get all off when we put that on a person.
It's good.
So you don't have to be a witness to the nonsense.
Yeah, and choose not to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I encourage all of our listeners, like, just kind of reevaluate some things and ask yourself, have you been sitting down in the front row with your popcorn, being a witness and being drawn into other people's dysfunction, and really reassess your own life, your own value, your own peace, your safe place, and realize that you don't have to be a witness. You don't have to take that in and absorb what you're observing. And then on certain levels, minimize what you're observing as well. Sometimes you gotta just be like, listen, don't call me. Sometimes you have to be like, listen, if you're gonna be around this person, I'm not gonna be able to come. Right. Sometimes you have to be like, I'm not gonna go because you don't want to be a witness, because you already, because come on, be real. In certain relationships, you already know what you're gonna get. You know what it is when Tyrone comes. Right? You know what it is when Kiki comes. Like, all Tyrones and Kikis, I love you. I'm just using the name. But like certain people,
certain couples, if they gonna be arguing all night. Everybody gonna be feeling uncomfortable because they not. Just come on, man. Like, you know what it is.
So I just think, in life, the best thing that we can do is just be honest with ourselves and be honest within our relationships.
Right.
And learn to speak up. If something's making you uncomfortable, if something is not working for you in the relationship, if certain things you don't want to be previewed to, you don't want to know about, certain levels of ride or die, you can't ride, you need to say something.
Like, I'm ride, but I got to get off at this spot.
I'll ride, but I ain't gonna die, okay?
Right when you get to that die line, I'm gonna need you to stop the car.
Let me out.
Then you
can come holler at me later if you make it through. So, look, draw those lines. And drawing lines does not mean you don't love a person. It doesn't mean you don't care. But hey, don't be a witness, man. Choose
insanity.
Don't be a witness. Choose you. Choose your life, your peace, your productivity, your progress,
your
before
purpose,
trying to be there for other people. That seems harsh, but it's the way you get what you want out of life. You know what I'm saying?
It's the way that you become valuable in other people's lives.
Right, because sometimes you got to show people how to value you.
Yeah.
People don't
all the time. I feel like
people don't always know how to treat you. People don't always know how to handle a queen because they've not been around royalty.
Or a king.
A king. So sometimes you have to educate people. You got to learn them something. So listen, do what you got to do in this world. Be who you want to be. Refuse to be a partaker of drama, unnecessary dysfunction.
Refuse to be a martyr.
Yes, refuse to be a martyr. Jesus died on the cross.
Live your life wonderfully, beautifully, powerfully.
He died so that you could live. So
yes, he came to give us life and life more abundantly, not a life with more drama.
Live and listen.
We ain't Mary J. Blige. I'm Mary J. Blige up in this piece. No more drama.
No more drama. And definitely don't give him 11 years of sacrifice, okay?
But if you do, that's your business.
Love yourself. Love your life.
Love one another.
And just be good to yourself.
Yeah.
And we hope that this was entertaining, educational, encouraging, enlightening. That's what we're here to do. We just like to chop it up here at the compound and really just spark some conversation and spark some thought. So honestly and truly, if you get nothing else out of this, hey, just reevaluate your relationships and the people in your world and the kind of access that you're allowing on every level. All types of relationships. It applies to every type of relationship. A work relationship, family relationships, love relationships. All
your life is valuable. That's all I keep coming up in my heart is your life is valuable. You hold value. What is around you, who is around you, it matters. It is important. Like you are important.
Listen, some of y'all messing around with dudes who ain't bringing nothing to the table. Nothing to the table. You sleeping with dudes and it ain't even that good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're in relationships and you're in situations that if you be really honest, they don't bring nothing to the table. And it's like you bring everything. So just love yourself, ladies, gentlemen, man, love yourself enough to evaluate and to realign. At the very least. Yeah, and realign, redirect, rearrange so that, your life is the life that you really want to live and that your space is clean. Yeah. Clear. I know personally, like when you're processing other stuff and other people, it's just difficult to process your own life. Yeah. And we all got enough on our own.
We all live in this life. Yeah, we all live in this life.
All of us.
And we're going to live it to the fullest.
That's right.
All right, y'all. Thank you for your time. We'll see you next time
at Conversations at the Compound.